Hi, what's going on today? I'm going to be showing you how to work with coordinates, like compasses, maps, and and also treasure maps. Somebody reached out to me on Discord, and they were wondering how to do this, and I thought, I'm sure there's plenty of other people who don't know how to do it, so here is the video tutorial. Alright, so to start out with, let's clear my inventory, and the very first thing to know is if you do Control F3, then it opens up the debugger window, and the important thing to see is you see X, Y, Z. Then the X is going to correlate with the 125, the Y is going to end up with the 4, and the Z is going to end up with the negative 34. And you can see right here, the graph that's spinning in the middle of my screen, the red, the blue, and the green. And this can be relevant in just 1 second. Let's get rid of this drawing that I did. Okay, so for starters, let's get a green line, which is going to represent our y-axis. Okay, then we're going to get blue, and this is going to represent our z, and this red is going to represent our x. The paintbrush, this is going to be z, this is going to be x, and this is going, that's wrong, hold on a second, this is y, this is x, and this is z. Okay, so right now we're only seeing the positive values, right? Okay, and so right here at the very center, the important thing to know it's 0. It's going to be, let's just say 4, because that's currently the flat world is 4, and 0. So that means that x has a value of 0, and z has a value of 0, and y has a value of 4, and that's my current location if you can't see. But see, if I fly up, you see that 4 just came a 13. That means that I was moving up this way, right? Because I was doing a positive increase on that coordinate. But if I go down, you see that I'm decreasing, and then now I'm below the world, and you see that that's negatives, right? So let's patch this up. You can see that as I descended below the world, I was going down negative, but you don't. But you don't see. That's interesting. You don't see it. But what I'd like to do is add a line right here. So there's green line. This is where my negative y is going to be. There we go. There's a little bit of weird y. And you can't see that negative part represented, but that's fine. And I'll explain that 1 second. But right now you can see that on my z-axis there's a negative. So the same thing is going to apply here, which this is going to be a little bit interesting to apply to, like, this is a 2D surface, and we're working with a 3D surface, so just bear with me. We're going to add this blue line, and this is going to be representative of negative z, even though technically this whole graph should rotate, and then of course we have our negative x, but this should technically be red. Okay, so technically, yeah, this is not the best way to accurate because it's technically on a 2D surface, because as you can see here, it rotates. But of course, for a lot of simplicity's sake, we don't need all of the extra lines like I showed you, okay? And so how this is going to work, let's clear. If you want to move on the x-axis, you want to make the red line disappear, and you're going to move down on the x-axis. So you're only increasing the x-axis, right? Only moving on the x-axis, and that's why you can't see the red line, right? And you can see up in the right, on the left-hand corner, you can see that I'm increasing, and then if I walk backwards, I'm decreasing. So if I turn around, it's not technically zero, but you can barely see any of it, right? So we're just going to walk directly, and we're going to increase this. We are not increasing on the y, of course, because we're not going up or down, right? But we're also not increasing on the z because we're not walking on any z value change. But if we go like this and make the blue line disappear, you can see that we're not really changing all that much on the x, right? But we're going decreasing on the z coordinate, and that's because we're only traveling. But then, of course, if you can see both lines and travel at a diagonal, you can see that the z-coordinate is decreasing, and the x-coordinate is also decreasing, right? And so that's kind of the basics of coordinates. But now what I want to do is if you go like this /TP add player, so that means you'd be the nearest player, and this TP stands for teleport, right? So it's going to teleport to a certain location. And then also we have add all, which would be all the players in your world, all entities, which is chickens, mobs, slimes, like whatever like is within a certain radius. Nearest player, which would be you because you're nearest player, and I'm the only player in the world. Random player, which is only me, but it would fundamentally, like if you had 10 people in your world, it's going to take a random player and teleport it to that location, so that's interesting. Current entity, which would be you in this scenario. Some of these you can go more complex, and then of course there's my name, right? So let's just go simply type your name. Then you're going to do squiggle, 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 and the squiggle button is going to be by shifting and pushing the button that's below the escape one. And if I hit enter, you'll see nothing really happens, right? And that's because the squiggle means that current location. So if I do /teleport, which is TP, let's do @p, which is the nearest player, which is me, and I'm going to do so you can see we're at 117, which is our current x. So I want to stay on my current x value. I also want to stay on my current y value, which is 4, and then you can see -34. But another interesting thing is, we make sure it's space. So now you can see it's all filled in yellow. So red doesn't mean the command is working. So now we know the command's working properly, right? But let's say I want to go to -34. Right, cool. Okay, let's say I want to go to -40. We're going to do -40, right? So, well, that means actually if we want to go to -40, we'd have to increase by -6 blocks, right? And so basically what it's saying is on that third squiggle line, that's going to be your z -6, right? So it's going to decrease by 6 blocks on the 34. So now you can see we teleport it down that way. And so that's like a really interesting way to do it that way. So if you want to do /TP, let's do our command again. You can actually type in just command. So let's go back to 117, 4, and -34, right? And so you can type it in to get to a specific point, and I can explain more about that in a minute, right? Okay, so let's say we get 2 blocks. Let's take this stone and let's take this granite, right? So if I want to get from this granite to this stone, what I want to do is open up my coordinates, and we can see that if I stay on this block, I'm at 128, 5, and -38. So let's just say I want to get to a right angle to get to the granite. I'm going to make these red lines disappear, so that means I'm only traveling the x-axis and not increasing my z. So you can see I increased, and then I'm about there, and then of course I'm like this disappear, and now we're only traveling the z, and we're going to go straight, right? And so that would be the basics of using commands to get from one point to another. But if you go at a diagonal like this, you're let's see. So we're decreasing on the x, right? By going in this direction, right? But if we turn back and go towards the granite, we are increasing, and we're also increasing on the x. So that's another interesting way to get from point A to point B. Alright, so the next thing to know is maps. Here, this is another way to travel in Minecraft. And you can see I can rotate it. Oops, that's not what I meant. Let's just do a map from over here. So a map, right? So you're going to get this from the creative inventory. You're going to right click. It's going to draw my area around, right? I can place this in here, and it blows it up on the board. So to get a map, you're going to need paper, which you're going to need to grow sugarcane, and 3 sugarcane in the crafting table makes a paper. And then you're going to need a compass, which is going to be 4 iron with a redstone in the middle. And to get a map, you're going to surround the paper around the compass. And then of course you're going to get this map, and you can see 2 dots. The green one is represented by the map in here. So you can see the green dot disappears. When I place it here, it means that I have mounted a map. But you can see as if I move south, which the bottom map is south, and you can see my arrow move, right? And if I move down, that means I'm going north. So if we go back to the drawing thing, and if we do file, let's see, layer, I think there should be a clear, perfect clear. So let's take my lines. So this is going to be our map, right? It's all like all wavy, right? That's bad. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit better of a square. Okay, so this is where I am right now. Here's my like little triangle, right? This is going to be north, east, south, and west. That's how it works on a map. So if you want to go south, you go this direction, and if you want to go northeast, you go this direction. So if there is a landmark in your top hand right corner, you're going to want to go northeast. So that's a convenient way to do it. So the next step is to go to Control F3. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4 lines down from the XYZ. You can see it's called facing south. So that means if I go walk this direction, I'm going now south on a map. Another thing, and so let's just go north, right? So that's where the edge of the map is. You go to north edge, and then it goes to a dot instead of an arrow. That means where to the match, and you can create another map. And now I'm on another map, and I can explore. But if I go back to this area right here, so right now I'm going, let's see, south, right? So we ended up going north. So this map is going to be right here because we went south to get back to this spawn point, right? And so when I move over here, you should be able to see like a white dot if you're in a multiplayer world. Okay, so that's how maps work. And now I want to talk about a compass, because that also is an interesting way to travel. So you can see how it's moving in your inventory and in your hand. So if you make it go straight, and then you can see it spins out of control. That means I hit spawn point. So basically, essentially, this compass is for hitting, going to your spawn point. So like if you get lost from your spawn point, then boom, you can find it. And that's like a little bit like less complex than a map. On a map, you can see the terrain. This is just a flat world, you know, just see it. Alright, so now what we want to do is I'm going to hop into another world, and I'm going to show you how to get a treasure map and kind of how they work, because now we know how to use on. That works for me. Okay. Alright, so now we're in a brand new world, and we're going to do something similar to that /TP command, but instead you're going to do /locate. Oops, that's not right. /locate, okay? So that's going to locate a structure within the game, and then you're in space. And now it shows us a list of options that we can do. We're going to want to find a shipwreck. So there we go. So it's going to tell us those 3 coordinates. So we're going to do /TP at P, and our first X coordinate is going to be that -512. Okay, squiggly means it's going to be on our exact Y. 464 is going to be our Z coordinate. But you have to be careful with the Y coordinate, because when we do this command, it doesn't tell us where the Y is. So you can end up in the ground, and that's bad news if you end up in the ground. Okay. What you can also do is if you click here, it's going to automatically do the command. But here, you'll notice I did something different for me. It's current entity, which still will work the same as at P. We're going to hit enter. It's going to take us to once it loads. Okay. So here's our shipwreck, and we're going to fly into, okay, maybe below. Okay, so here's our buried treasure map. We're going to take this to the surface. We're going to write, okay, it's already made. Right click to make it, and so you can see that we are kind of in the southwestern corner. And if you can remember from our drawing that, okay, so let's get rid of this, okay? So right now you can see that we are right here, but we're a circle, not an arrow, and your X is over here. But we need to go north to get on the map, right? And then we can see us turn into an arrow, right? And then also, but we also need to go east. So the best way to do it is to go at a diagonal and kind of go into a northeastern quadrant to get to that X. So if we go to our commands, Control F3, we can see that we're facing north. But if we turn this way to our right, we can see it's east. So we kind of want to go in this general direction between north and east. Okay, so now you can see that we're directly above the X. We're going to drop down, and I'm going to do, let's get rid of the debugger window. And now what we're going to do, not a screenshot, game mode, spectator, so we can go into the ground, find our chest. Okay, so there's our chest, /game mode creative, and then the survival you're going to mine down here, which you have to kind of figure out the directory, because you can see we're directly on the X. Should be around here somewhere. I swear it was just right around here. Okay, let's see, where did it go? I swear I was really close. I see, I was just off. Let's go back into creative, and let's get back to this chest. Alright, so you're going to find it buried in sand, right? This is going to be what you find. And this is probably the specific thing you want to find is the heart of the sea. And here's everything else that you can get. You know, armor's pretty common, fish is pretty common, gold and iron. This is actually like, I think I think this is above average for sure. I think. Um, so there's that. Here's the seed if you're interested. I don't know if you would be. And then you can find the chest if you want. At these coordinates, negative 450, 65, and negative 394. And that should, and seeing that you cannot craft the treasure maps, you can only find them in those shipwrecks. And so in Sarai, we just happen to have to find one and then use the same technique to go north-south, except of course mine was faster because I played in creative, and of course there's not an exact science. You just have to like get your best on the X and just mine down. And a really nice thing to do is if you go your offhand, which I keyed it to be R, but I think default is F. So if you pass it to your offhand, you can have like a sword in your hand and you can kind of fill out the map because you can see as we explore it. I hope you enjoyed. If you I'll leave my Discord username in the description. So see if you have any questions. You can ask me there, or you can leave a comments video or leave a like. That would be greatly appreciated. Someone reached out to me on Discord, and so this is where this video came from. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Until next time.